The Dubai authorities received an anonymous tip about Conor McGregor's penthouse. When they investigated, what they discovered behind the hidden door changed their entire perception of the Irish fighter forever. Picture this: it's 2 a.m. in Dubai, and the city's gleaming skyline stretches endlessly into the desert night. High above the bustling streets, on the 47th floor of the exclusive Burj Al Arab residences, Conor McGregor's $15 million penthouse sits like a crown jewel among the clouds. But what happened inside those walls on this particular night would shock the world and reveal secrets that Conor had been hiding for years. The anonymous tip came through Dubai's official channels at exactly 11:47 p.m. local time. The caller's voice was disguised, mechanical, clearly altered by sophisticated technology. "There's something in McGregor's penthouse that doesn't belong there," the voice said slowly, deliberately. "Check the room behind the bookshelf on the main floor. What you find will surprise even your most experienced investigators." Dubai authorities initially dismissed it as another celebrity hoax. They receive hundreds of false reports about high-profile residents every month. But this caller knew details that weren't public knowledge: the exact floor plan of Conor's penthouse, the security codes for the building's private elevator, even the names of Conor's domestic staff and their work schedules. Someone with inside access was talking. The investigation began quietly, discreetly. Dubai values its reputation as a safe haven for the world's elite, and the last thing they wanted was to falsely accuse one of their most famous residents. But as they dug deeper into the tip, they discovered patterns that were troubling enough to warrant a formal investigation. But before we reveal what they found, you need to understand how Conor McGregor came to own this incredible palace in the sky. Conor purchased the Dubai penthouse in early 2019, during the peak of his global fame and financial success. The property wasn't just expensive, it was exclusive in ways that money alone couldn't access. Only 12 residences exist on the top floors of this particular tower, and the screening process for potential owners was more rigorous than most government security clearances. The penthouse itself is a masterpiece of modern luxury spanning 8,000 square feet across 2 levels connected by a private elevator. Floor-to-ceiling windows offer 360-degree views of Dubai's coastline, the vast Arabian desert, and the iconic skyline. The interior features Italian Carrara marble, custom-designed furniture, and smart home technology that can be controlled from anywhere in the world. But the most impressive feature isn't visible to casual visitors. Conor had the entire space custom renovated by a team of architects and contractors who signed ironclad non-disclosure agreements backed by penalty clauses worth millions of dollars. The renovation took 18 months and cost an additional $3 million beyond the purchase price. The public areas are stunning but relatively conventional: a master suite with panoramic ocean views, guest bedrooms, a chef's kitchen, entertainment spaces, and a private gym. But hidden behind what appears to be a decorative bookshelf lies something extraordinary that most visitors never see. And here's where the story takes a shocking turn that nobody expected. The Dubai authorities' investigation intensified when they discovered that Conor's penthouse had been receiving unusual deliveries for months. High-security transport vehicles, the kind typically used for moving valuable artwork or sensitive government materials, arrived at odd hours carrying unmarked packages that were handled with extreme care and discretion. These deliveries were always coordinated personally by Conor or his most trusted security chief, Marcus O'Brien, a former Irish Special Forces operative. Regular building staff and even Conor's usual entourage were never present during these mysterious arrivals. Neighbors in adjacent penthouses reported strange sounds coming from Conor's residence late at night. These weren't the typical sounds of parties or training sessions. Instead, residents described mechanical noises, construction-like sounds, and occasionally what sounded like industrial equipment operating for hours during the early morning. Mrs. Anastasia Volkov, a Russian tech billionaire who owned the penthouse directly below Conor's, became particularly concerned when she began experiencing electrical fluctuations in her own smart home systems. Her technicians discovered that massive amounts of electricity were being drawn from the building's power grid during specific hours each night. The building's management company found themselves in an impossible position. They couldn't investigate without risking their reputation with other high-profile residents, but the unusual activity was becoming harder to ignore. Then came the breakthrough that changed everything. Building security cameras malfunctioned during routine maintenance. When technicians recovered the temporarily stored footage, they discovered something that made them immediately contact authorities. But what they saw on those cameras was nothing compared to what investigators would find inside the hidden room. The investigation officially began when Dubai's Department of Economic Development received a formal complaint claiming that illegal business activities were being conducted from the Penthouse. In Dubai, even the wealthiest residents must comply with strict business licensing and taxation requirements. A team of 3 investigators, accompanied by building security and Conor's personal legal representative, arrived at the Penthouse on a Thursday morning when Conor was training at his private gym facility across the city. They had a legal warrant to inspect the premises, expecting to find typical wealthy expatriate tax issues. What they discovered instead left them speechless and completely changed their understanding of who Conor McGregor really is. Behind the bookshelf, accessed through a sophisticated biometric scanner requiring both Conor's fingerprint and retinal scan, lay a room that most billionaires couldn't imagine, let alone afford to build. The hidden space, roughly 1,200 square feet with 12-foot ceilings, had been converted into the most sophisticated private training and analysis facility any of the investigators had ever seen. But this wasn't just an elaborate gym, it was something far more impressive and unexpected. But here's what makes this discovery absolutely incredible. The room contained technology that would make NASA engineers envious. 3-dimensional motion capture systems, worth over $500,000 each, could analyze every micromovement of Conor's fighting technique with precision measured in millimeters. The system captured data at 1,000 frames per second, creating mathematical models that could be analyzed from any angle. Holographic projection systems allowed Conor to train against virtual opponents modeled after real fighters. These weren't simple video projections, they were 3-dimensional, interactive holograms that responded to his movements and could simulate the fighting styles, reach, speed, and psychological patterns of specific opponents. Biometric monitoring equipment tracked everything from heart rate variability to neurological response times during combat simulations. The data was processed by artificial intelligence systems that could identify optimal training loads, predict injury risks, and recommend recovery protocols with scientific precision. But the most shocking discovery was a wall of servers running artificial intelligence programs designed to analyze fighting footage from every major UFC competitor. The system could predict fighting patterns, identify weaknesses that human analysts missed, and simulate match outcomes with frightening accuracy. The AI had analyzed over 50,000 hours of fight footage, creating psychological and tactical profiles more detailed than anything intelligence agencies used. The system could predict not just how opponents would react in specific situations, but how they would adapt their strategies based on previous rounds. But wait, because what investigators found next reveals the true scope of Conor's secret project. Conor hadn't just been training in this room, he had been revolutionizing the entire science of combat sports preparation. The mechanical sounds neighbors heard were advanced training machines operating at peak capacity, including devices that had never been seen outside military research facilities. One machine used electromagnetic fields to stimulate muscle contractions, allowing Conor to maintain peak conditioning even during injury recovery. Another device used targeted vibration therapy to accelerate bone density improvements and joint flexibility in ways traditional training couldn't achieve. Recovery technology included cryotherapy chambers programmed to specific temperatures, hyperbaric oxygen chambers for accelerated healing, and sleep optimization systems that monitored everything from room temperature to electromagnetic field exposure. The investigators realized they weren't looking at tax evasion. They were witnessing the future of athletic performance, hidden away in a Dubai penthouse where one of the world's most famous fighters had been secretly advancing the boundaries of human physical development. Medical data showed that Conor's physical capabilities had improved dramatically over the past 2 years, despite being in his mid-30s when most fighters experience decline. His bone density, reaction times, and cognitive processing speeds had all improved beyond what should have been possible. But the technology was only the beginning of what made this discovery so extraordinary. Before we continue with this mind-blowing revelation, make sure you're subscribed to Notorious Stories and hit that like button. We dive deep into the most shocking and untold stories of Conor McGregor's life, from his biggest victories to his most challenging moments. Drop a comment below and let us know, what other Conor McGregor secrets would you like us to investigate? The truth about the Notorious One is always more fascinating than what you see in the headlines. The room also contained detailed psychological profiles of every major fighter in multiple weight classes, compiled by sports psychologists working in secret for over 2 years. These weren't simple scouting reports, they were comprehensive psychological assessments analyzing everything from childhood experiences to financial pressures. Fight preparation materials covered every wall, not just physical training data, but mental preparation strategies, dietary optimization plans, and sleep cycle manipulation programs designed to peak performance at exactly the right moments before major fights. The dietary research alone was revolutionary. Conor's team had developed meal plans that could manipulate hormone levels and energy metabolism to optimize performance for specific fight strategies. They could literally change his body chemistry through nutrition to enhance aggression, improve focus, or increase pain tolerance. The investigators found evidence that Conor had been using this facility to prepare not just for past fights, but for future matchups that hadn't been officially announced yet. His team had been analyzing potential opponents months in advance of any public negotiations. What really shocked the authorities was the realization that Conor's recent fighting performances, which critics had called declining, were actually the result of him holding back his true capabilities while testing new methods. The training data showed he had been developing techniques far more advanced than anything he'd displayed publicly. But the most incredible discovery was still to come. Hidden within the server systems, investigators found comprehensive business plans revealing Conor's true ambitions extended far beyond fighting or his whiskey empire. He had been developing a sports technology company that would license his training methods to athletes, professional teams, Olympic centers, and military organizations worldwide. The business plan projected over $500 million in licensing revenue within 5 years. More aggressive projections reached into the billions, especially with military and team sports applications. The Dubai Penthouse wasn't just his residence, it was the secret headquarters for what could become a trillion-dollar sports technology revolution. Every piece of equipment, every training session, every data point had been part of a master plan to transform athletic preparation. Partnership agreements showed Conor working with universities to conduct formal research studies. Patent applications covered everything from training devices to data analysis algorithms. Trademark applications had been filed for the McGregor method and Notorious performance systems. Conor hadn't just been training in secret, he had been building the foundation for an empire that would extend far beyond his fighting career and establish him as a pioneer in sports science and human performance optimization. And here's what makes this story even more incredible. The financial documents revealed that Conor had invested over $35 million of his own money into developing these technologies over 3 years, working with scientists and engineers worldwide under strict confidentiality agreements. This wasn't a hobby, it was a calculated business investment requiring sacrificing immediate luxury for long-term revolutionary impact. Dubai had been chosen specifically for its business-friendly environment, intellectual property protection, and government support for innovative technology ventures. Dubai's rulers had been secretly briefed on the project and were prepared to offer incentives to establish the city as the global headquarters for sports technology innovation. The investigators also discovered that Conor had been using his own body as the primary test subject, undergoing medical monitoring more comprehensive than NASA astronauts. Blood work, brain scans, genetic analysis, and performance testing conducted monthly had created the most detailed database of elite athletic development ever assembled. The hidden training facility had allowed Conor to literally become an enhanced version of himself, using technology that wouldn't be available to other athletes for years. His apparent decline in recent fights wasn't due to age or motivation, he had been deliberately concealing his true abilities while perfecting revolutionary systems. But here's the most shocking revelation that proves Conor has been playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Timeline evidence showed Conor had been developing this technology since 2018, meaning his recent fights had been conducted while testing prototype systems and holding back true capabilities. His controversial performances hadn't been failures, they had been data-gathering exercises for systems revolutionizing athletic performance. Within weeks of the investigation, Dubai announced a new sports technology initiative with Conor as the flagship partner. The project would create thousands of jobs, attract billions in investment, and establish the region as the global leader in athletic performance innovation. The hidden room that started as a suspicious mystery had revealed itself to be the secret birthplace of what experts predict will become a trillion-dollar industry. Conor hadn't just been hiding a training facility, he had been incubating the future of human performance optimization. The anonymous tip remains officially unsolved, but insiders believe it was Conor's brilliant way of controlling the narrative and revealing his project when ready for commercialization. The investigation that was supposed to expose wrongdoing instead unveiled one of the most impressive entrepreneurial achievements in modern sports history. Today, the Dubai Penthouse continues as Conor's residence and global headquarters for McGregor Performance Systems, a company that has signed deals with professional teams, Olympic centers, military organizations, and entertainment companies worldwide. The secret room had contained something more valuable than money, more impressive than luxury, and more revolutionary than anyone could have imagined. It contained the future of human performance, developed in secret by a fighter who proved that his greatest victories happened far from any octagon. The Dubai authorities' perception of Conor McGregor changed completely that day. They realized they weren't dealing with just another wealthy athlete, but a visionary entrepreneur who had identified the next frontier in sports and technology and quietly built the foundation to dominate it. What started as an investigation into suspicious activity ended as a partnership that would reshape Dubai's economy and establish Conor McGregor as not just a fighter or businessman, but as a pioneer who saw the future before anyone else and had the courage to build it in secret. The hidden door had revealed more than just a room, it had unveiled the mind of a true innovator operating on levels most people can't comprehend. Conor McGregor's Dubai Palace wasn't just luxury, it was a glimpse into the future of human potential, developed by a fighter who never stops looking for his next victory. If you enjoyed this incredible story of triumph over adversity, make sure you're subscribed to Notorious Stories and hit that like button. We dive deep into the most shocking and untold stories of Conor McGregor's life, from his biggest victories to his most challenging moments. Drop a comment below and let us know, what other Conor McGregor secrets would you like us to investigate? The truth about the Notorious One is always more fascinating than what you see in the headlines.